and welcome to My Piano Method with me, Michelle Orp. This is my beginner to grade course, lesson 9. In today's lesson, we're going to learn about articulation in music. So this is when a composer wants you to play a particular piece of music or section of music in a particular way or a particular style. And today we're going to learn a couple of those. Now they do tend to be in Italian terms, you do just have to learn them. For today we're going to look at ties and slurs and playing legato and staccato. So, slurs and ties, what are they and what do they look like? Well, actually, they look exactly the same. So they're a curved line that you see across notes above and below the stave. So if I show you what they look like on the stave, you can see the slurs, they go across a group of notes that are different, and the tie actually connects two notes that are the same. So in this case, it's two Fs. So what do they mean? Well, the slur means you have to play those notes smoothly. And the tie means you have to play the two notes that are tied as a single note using both the notes' durations. So I'll show you what I mean. So slurs mean to play smoothly. And the correct musical term for that is legato. And by saying the notes are played smoothly, I mean that the notes are played more fluidly. They run into each other a bit easier. So let's take a look at this passage and I'll show you what I mean. So this passage with no slurs on would sound normal, which would be like this. If I add some slurs in, then I have to play these notes more smoothly, so legato. So they would sound like this. Now the change is only very slight and you mustn't go too far with it, so the notes can't overlap each other like this. That would lose you marks in an exam. So you do need to show that you have understood that the slur means to play more smoothly, and the examiner does need to hear the difference. So you do need to practice playing legato, and I will add some exercises to this lesson for you to try this out on real notes within sheet music. So if I play that very first bar again, normal would be like this. And legato with the slur would sound like this. So just a bit smoother. Now a slur can go across as many notes as the composer wants. So it could go across 2 notes, 4 notes, 6 notes, or the entire line of music. So if I shorten these slurs a little bit, you can now see that the legato only applies to these 4 notes. So if I play this extract of music now, it would sound like this. So hopefully you could hear that the 4 outside notes are played normally and those 4 inside notes are just a bit smoother. And if I created a longer slur that goes across 2 bars, now the first 6 notes here are played smoothly, legato, and the last 2 notes are played normally. So this would sound like this. So a slur means to play legato, which means play smoothly. We also need to know what the opposite of this is. So the opposite of this is staccato. And staccato means to play short and detached. And the symbol for staccato are little dots underneath and above the notes. So if you see little black dots like this above or below the note, it means you have to play staccato, which is short and detached. So it would sound like this. So basically you're just playing the note a bit quicker. So if I bring up the extract of music with all 3 different styles and play it through, you should be able to hear the difference. So if I play it normal, it sounds like this. If the piece of music has slurs on them, you'd need to play legato like this. And if the piece of music has the small dots that indicate staccato on them, it would sound like this. So I will add some exercises to this lesson for you to try out these 3 different styles, so you can start getting used to how it sounds and what they look like in the sheet music. So next up, it's the tie. So very similar, it's a curved line above or below the notes again. But the main difference is that the tie will always be between 2 notes that are the same. So in this case, I've used 2 Fs. So if we take a look at that first F, we can see it's a quarter note, which is also known as a crotchet, and that's worth 1 beat. The second F is a half note, also known as a minim, and that's worth 2 beats. But because they're tied together, we play this as 1 note and we add the durations together. So we would play this note as 1 note worth 3 beats. So if I play this 3 for you now, it would sound like this. So hopefully you could tell there that the 2 Fs were held for 3 beats instead of played separately as 1 beat and then 2 beats. And ties don't just go across bar lines either. You can see tied notes in the middle of the bar. So if I switch these notes around, these 2 Fs are now in the middle of the bar. So it means the same thing. Instead of playing 2 quarter note beats, I would play this F as 1 half note beat. And I know you could say, well, why would you ever do that? Why wouldn't you just put a half note beat in there? And that is what I would do in this piece of music. But when you start looking a bit more into music theory and using different time signatures, you might come across a scenario where you do have to use a tie in the middle of a bar. So as long as you know what it means and that you have to join these notes together and play it as a single note, then you won't go far wrong. So these 2 Fs here would be played as 1 half note, and it would sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so just to be clear, a tie will always be between 2 of the same note. So this tie is between an F and an F. But if I was to take that second F and move it up to a G, this can no longer be a tie, which means this would be a slur, which means the composer wants you to play it legato. So if we take a look at the 3 things we've learned, a tie are 2 of the same notes that you play as a single note, and you have to add their durations together. A slur means you have to play legato, so play smoothly. And the little dots underneath or above the notes which tell you to play staccato mean you have to play the note detached, which is just short and sweet. So now you know what ties and slurs are, you need to know how to use them when you come across them in sheet music. So I found a simple song called London Bridge Has Fallen Down. Hopefully you've heard of it, but it uses both ties and slurs. So let's take a look. Okay, so London Bridge Has Fallen Down is a pretty simple tune that you should be able to play no problem, but with the ties and the slurs in there, it can look more complicated than it is. But if I take away the ties and slurs, you'll see that it's actually really simple. So I'll take away the left hand first, and then I'll take away the slurs, and you can see this is a really standard piece of music using C to A in the right hand with quarter notes and half notes. So you can play this no problem at all. If we add in the slurs, all you have to do is play these notes legato, so you're playing them smoothly. That's all it means. Now, these slurs aren't going across the whole piece, so we're not slurring all of these notes together. We're just slurring the notes in each bar, which means you will have a slight break, a slight pause between each bar as you play those notes normally. So if I show you what you mean, bar 1, if bar 1 and 2 had one big slur across it, it would sound like this. I've played all of those notes, all 7 of those notes, nice and smoothly. But there isn't a slur over all 7 notes. There's a slur over the first 4 and then the second lot of 3 in bar 2. So these 2 bars will sound like this. Did you see how I had a very slight break in between the F and the E, the F at the end of bar 1 and the E at the beginning of bar 2? So do try and do that when you're playing this right hand. I'll add in some fingering for you as well. Pause the video, give it a go. Okay, so we're going to do the left hand now. Again, it can look busy with all the ties and slurs, but if I take the right hand away, you can see that actually this left hand is really very basic. I want you to pause the video and work out what these notes are and see if you recognise anything about them. Okay, so hopefully you realise that these are 2 chords, a C major and a G major. If you struggled working out these notes, then you can work out these chords using the big small technique. Now I've added the chords in, but it's actually really very simple. It's a C major chord and a G major chord, and that is it. So you should have no problems playing this left hand. Of course, there are ties. So at the beginning of bar 1, bars 1 and 2, these 2 chords are tied together. So instead of playing 2 chords of whole notes, so that's 4 beats each, which would sound like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you noticed I lifted my hand up in between. But instead of that, we're going to play it as one long note because they are tied together. So it will sound like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I didn't lift my hand because these notes are tied together. The G, chord G in bar 3 to the C in bar 4, of course, are not tied together. They can't be because they're not the same notes. But pause the video, give it a go, and then we'll try both hands. Okay, so now give both hands a go together. I will leave the fingering suggestions up for your right hand, and I will leave those chords up as well to help you. When you come back, I'll play it through and we can see how you did. Okay, great. Well, hopefully you had no problems with that. I'll play it as it should have sounded. So I'll count us in. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that piece of music is a great example of using ties and slurs while you're playing. I've added some exercises for you into the practice plan as well, which will be using ties and slurs, playing staccato and playing legato. So do give all of those a go.